What's up guys, Harvick99 here, back with another video. It's that time of the year again. The start of the NASCAR season is upon us, and with that comes brand new paint schemes for the season. Welcome to rating every confirmed 2024 NASCAR Cup Series paint scheme. There have been a multitude of paint schemes that have been confirmed so far, and I've got a lot of catching up to do, so this will be part 1 of a 4-part series, just like in years past. However, before I start this video, I just want to say that a lot of paint schemes this year were unchanged or had little change from last year to this year. And so my ratings for them do not change. So here they are going by on screen with the ratings that I gave them. So, that takes a bit of a load off my shoulders, less paint schemes to talk about, but, yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have Ross Chastain's Kubota paint scheme. Mostly orange this year. Last year, it had a good balance between black and orange, but this year it's about 80% orange and 20%, I'm not even sure if that's black or not. It's probably the render that's making it look weird, but yeah, less black, more orange, which is always welcome. I love orange. 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Ross Chastain's Busch Light paint scheme. With Kevin Harvick's retirement, Busch Light is left without a star driver to represent them. And so they chose Ross Chastain to fill that role. And they come up with a beautiful paint scheme. I love it. It is just as good, if not better, than the Busch schemes that Kevin Harvick used to drive, which, as a Harvick fan, is bold of me to say. But, yeah. Beautiful paint scheme. Don't expect anything less from the guys at Busch. 10 out of 10. Next up, we have Ross Chastain's Moose Fraternity paint scheme. Mostly black with red highlights. I like this design. It's got good use of sponsor space and gets the job done. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Austin Dillon's BetMGM paint scheme. I didn't rate this scheme last year since I don't think it was confirmed yet when I was doing these rating videos. But this year, it'll get a chance to shine. Simple design, I like it. Mostly black, white stripe going down the side with, I almost said gold, but it's not gold. It's more beige, I want to say. I don't know what that color is. I'm pretty sure it's beige, but yeah, beige trim around the white stripe. Simple design, I like it. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Austin Dillon's Bass Pro Shops paint scheme. I won't waste your time making a camo joke, so I'll just get straight into reviewing the paint scheme. I like it. Dayglow orange and camo is always Dayglow orange, black, and camo is always a good combination, and they make for a good scheme. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Josh Berry's Harrison's paint scheme. With Kevin Harvick leaving, a lot of his sponsors left with him, so that leaves Berry with little to no sponsors. And Harrison stepped up to the plate to sponsor him for a few races. And they come up with this paint scheme, which is decent enough. It's weird seeing this, color pattern on a Stewart-Haas Racing 4-car, since I don't think Kevin Harvick ever drove a paint scheme like this. So, yeah, it really is a new era for the 4-car. And Josh Berry, and hopefully Josh Berry can make this paint scheme iconic, like Kevin Harvick did with so many of the paint schemes that he ran. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Kyle Larson's Valvoline paint scheme. A lot of the Hendrick Motorsports paint schemes this year are meh. Not bad, just meh. I don't know what it is, but they just seem to have settled for mediocrity when it comes to their paint schemes. And this one's no different. I don't like it that much. 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Kyle Larson's orange HendrickCars.com paint scheme that he'll run at the Coke 600 to commemorate his Indy 500 Coke 600 double. It's the first time in a decade, I believe, since Kurt Busch did it in 2014, where someone runs both the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day. I don't like this paint scheme that much. The design is just... They could have done way more with this paint scheme. Like more orange and less white and less blue. It's a miss. 4 out of 10. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski's Solomon Plumbing paint scheme. Big changes from last year's scheme. Way more white and less green. I like last year's scheme better. This one just doesn't do it for me. I don't like it that much. 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski's Consumer Cellular paint scheme. New sponsor, I believe, for this year. And they come up with this paint scheme, a combination of orange and dark blue. It reminds me of his King's Hawaiian paint scheme from 2022. It reminds me a lot of that. And that scheme looked good. This one also looks good. It's decent. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have the RFK Racing Build Submarines paint schemes for Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, and David Ragan. For whatever reason, David Ragan's paint scheme is different from Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher's. Don't know why that is. Probably to differentiate it from the full-time entries, but yeah. It's so minuscule of a difference that it won't change that I won't give it a different rating than the other paint scheme. So they'll all get the same rating. It's a nice blend of, I'm not sure if that's turquoise or teal. I always get them mixed up. But it's one of those two colors. A nice mix of turquoise or teal with black and white. And they make for a good paint scheme. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski's Fastenal Bodyguard paint scheme. A mix of black and orange. And yeah, I'm a sucker for orange paint schemes. So it's automatically going to get a good rating from me. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Kyle Busch's Zone paint scheme. For those of you who don't know, Zone sells nicotine packets. And I guess this is the replacement for 3Chi, which left after 2023. And for those of you who don't know, 3Chi sells THC products. So, out comes one recreational drug sponsor, in comes another. Which I thought those sponsorships were banned. But I guess restrictions have eased up. But I guess restrictions have eased up in recent years. So I guess they can sponsor race cars again. And by restrictions, I mean NASCAR rules. Because I'm pretty sure NASCAR has rules in place that don't allow drug sponsors. I'm pretty sure. I could be completely wrong, and I could be talking out of my ass on this, but anyway. Good paint scheme. I like the mix of blue and green. Blue and green on a paint scheme always go together well. So yeah. Good paint scheme. 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Kyle Busch's Cheddar's paint scheme. Last year's paint scheme had a realistic looking croissant on the back, and with this year's scheme they go for a much simpler clip art, which I think works better. This paint scheme also has a stripe going down the side of the car I think that's dark orange and fades into, I believe that's a shade of brown or an even darker orange. I don't know, but yeah, it's got a color gradient going down the side on the stripe there, and a dark orange border around it. Yeah, decent scheme. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Kyle Busch's Morgan & Morgan paint scheme. This paint scheme is really simple. It's yellow at the front and fades to black at the middle, and the rest of the car is black. I like that color gradient, and I like the little palm trees around the front tire. That's a nice touch. Simple paint scheme, and it's good. 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Kyle Busch's Global Industrial paint scheme. This is a patriotic scheme. It's got stars and stripes on it, though I don't like how faint the stripes are. It's got a solid red color at the back that sort of fades in. To the stripes. I don't like that design. It would have been so much better if it was just the plain stripes on there. I don't know why they went with that design choice. But either way, it still looks good even despite that flaw. 6 out of 10. And for our final paint scheme, we have Kyle Busch's Rebel Bourbon paint scheme. I have no idea what Rebel Bourbon is. I don't know what they do. Someone who's more knowledgeable on it can let me know in the comments what exactly they do, because I have no idea. I've never heard of this company before until I saw this paint scheme. But whatever, enough of that. Let's just rate the paint scheme. I get an Old West vibe from this, especially with the logo. The font of the logo looks straight out of a Western movie, and it gives off those sort of, Old West cowboy vibes, and I dig it. I dig it a lot. 7 out of 10. And that concludes part 1 of rating every confirmed 2024 NASCAR Cup Series paint scheme. What do you think? Do you think some of these should have been rated higher? Do you think some should have been rated lower? How would you rate these paint schemes? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more of me, be sure to follow all my socials, like my Twitter, my Instagram, my Threads, and join my Discord server. Links to all those are in the description down below. Leave a like on the video, and subscribe to my channel for more motorsports content. Thank you all so much for watching. That's it from me. Peace.